Hey everybody, sorry about that freak accident. We ended up having to shut down and restart everything, and in the middle of the program freaking out, the streaming program also decided to freak out and crash, which is probably why you guys all got booted. But it should be good now. Fix the screen, I can draw once again. Everything should be all good. So let's restart this because I drew those lines while the screen was freaking out. Okay, back at it. Hello again. Thank you for having patience while we figured it out. I gave my computer a proper dressing down. It won't do it again, hopefully, ever. Okay. So, like before, we're gonna start with the contact position, which, as I said, like this pose that Griff's in right here. It is when the leg that is swinging forward during the walk and not touching the ground has its first contact to usually heel first. And when their back leg is just starting, or not back leg, but other leg is just starting to lift off the ground. So we're gonna do that first. Tried to join the stream like 30 minutes late while they had a short stream. Well, you never know. Okay, so first we're gonna figure out Hazel's proportions standing next to Griff. Usually he is about at her shoulder height, so right about there, or a little bit. It's a little bit taller than that actually. So her torso should be about like this. For the first one, we're going to have the back leg at the front. Coming forward. For her, this is going to be a bit of a shorter gait because I need her to match Griff's in order for everything to line up properly. They are, in the video idea, they're going to be walking all kind of in a line, Griff, Hazel, and Russ. So I need them to all be walking at the same pace, which is why we're gonna use the same method down here for that we used for Griff's walk cycle for Hazel's. This will be her front leg is at the back here. Let's raise this torso just a little bit more. Because her legs are pretty long. Yeah. Love your short king, Russ. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to do his and make him keep pace, so I'm thinking what we're gonna do for his is we're gonna use half of the length of the gait, but then we're gonna have him walking at twice the speed. And hopefully that'll work out. I'm just theorizing at this point. I haven't done anything like this before, because I've only really done like 3 or 4 walk cycles. Okay. And when the front leg is going back, the front arm is going forward, and hers is a bit more of a jaunty walk, so her arm's going to be all the way up like this. Back arm will be turned this way. Yeah. And it'll still be down, I think. It's a bit of a asymmetrical walk we're doing here. She's got that long neck, and then her head will be up here. That might be a little too tall. We'll do final adjustments later once we actually get the walk cycle done. I can always shrink them down, size them up, whatever I gotta do. So I'm going to move Griff out of the way now, since I am done with using his height. You can live down there for a bit. What's nice about this program is you get this nice big working space, even though the technical video space is just within this camera box. But it doesn't really matter for what we're doing. I understand Griff and Hazel, but where did Russell's name come from? I think it's based off of a plant and also a color. Because the entire Red Deer family, all of their names are plants, so like Herb, Hazel, and Russell is a plant. Okay, so when we're first starting this, we're going to do it just as a nice skeleton. We'll add a little meat to her bones later on, but it's easier if you can just kind of get the bare bones down and make sure the movement's looking correct. Just put her wee little feet in. Her legs are not looking long enough to me. I think I made her torso a little too long there, so we're just gonna bump all this up a bit. Okay, and we're not gonna put her any defining features. She's not gonna have her ears, no tail, no snout, anything like that. We're just keeping this to a skeleton. We just need to be able to see which arm is where, which is also why it's color-coded. Because once you really get into doing a walk cycle, it can get really confusing. So we're all done with this nice contact pose, so we're going to do a passing pose next, which is when one of the legs is lifted up and passing the other one. It's like a mid-motion kind of thing. I still need to see the last one. There we go. The height should be about the same. So front limb first, everything unlike the passing pose where one shoulder's kind of further forward than the other one, the hip is tilted a certain way. This one is just a straight on the side kind of pose. So her arm's gonna be down at her side like this. And since we started with the blue leg forward, if we're going by this, it should still be touching the ground. It's at this halfway mark here. So it's still gonna be on the ground. And this back reddish pink leg that represents the front one is going to be the one that's lifted off the ground, so the hip's going to be about there, and because she's doing a bit of a jauntier walk, it's going to be bent and lifted up nice and high. For Griff's, I think I left it closer to the ground as a bit more of a sluggish walk, you know, so I didn't want to lift it up too high. Dividing polynomials satisfying and fun. Why are you guys talking about math in the comments? We're here for art. I'm not a math person. Okay. And then we're going to do the next contact pose, which is the opposite of the first one. So instead, the front leg is going to be at the front and the back leg is going to be at the back. We're going to turn on our onion skin here so I can see about where everything is. Reading the comic and watching you guys is very educational and helpful. Well, I hope so. I don't know how accurate I'm representing how to draw walk cycles. I'm just doing it the way that I was taught to in college. Personally, I prefer doing them this kind of tradigital way. It's kind of nice. I like drawing everything out. We have to do them with the electronic puppets in class, and it was fun, but I find more enjoyment in this. Okay, so the front leg is coming forward in this one. We want the heel right at this line, the foot kind of lifted up. Back one is on the same path as this. And if the back leg is going back, then the back arm is going to be going forward. Tradigital? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's what we always called it in class. when you're drawing in a traditional way for animation, but you're doing it digitally. Not quite traditional, not quite fully digital. It's that fun middle ground. But rigging, bring home the bacon. Yeah, rigging isn't fun though. I still know how to do it. I want to eventually make a new rig for Hazel, Russell, and one for Griff. I don't really have the energy though, and rigging takes a lot of mental energy. Okay, so it's already coming along. We got the 2 contact poses and 1 passing pose. So now we gotta do 1 more passing pose, and it's gonna be on 25 and 26. Oop, that's not what we want. Get rid of that. Frame 25 and 26. Griff is Dr. House, but like 40 years younger, confirmed. I guess so. I don't know enough about House to know if that's an accurate analogy. Although if I remember correctly, Dr. House heavily does drugs during the show, and I don't think Griff would be that kind of fella. Okay. The last passing pose, the blue foot was on the ground, so for this one, the Dr. House is a Vicodin addict. Yeah, I don't know where Griff would find Vicodin, you know? He wouldn't even know what it is. No one here would. Does Hazel have a longer, slower gait because she's taller and longer legs? Yeah, I'm having to shrink her gait down to match Griff's because the project that I have in mind, they all need to be walking at the same pace. So technically the timing is going to be the same. I'm using the same chart that's up in this corner here to figure out, you know, when they're going to be on contact and when the passing pose is, and then in between those two they have low points and high points, where your body naturally is closer or higher from the ground. So I find this is the best method to remember everything and where everything should be. I write similar notes down here, you know, where everything is kind of scaled in. But I like having the circular representation as well. It's kind of easier for my brain to keep everything under track. No, he's addicted to turkey bacon? Yeah, that's pretty accurate. So our back leg is gonna be right there. Same position as the other one. And we're not really going to see the back arm in this pose, so we're just going to do the front arm. Perfect. And a good way to check how it's looking is to fill in these keyframes here, and then play it. And it's pretty choppy, but you can kind of see, and I missed her head in one of them, but you can kind of see how the movement is going to be working. It's all kind of there. Turn that back off. The process is very intriguing. Yeah, I do quite like doing walk cycles. They're pretty fun. The first one I did, it was like a murderous housewife, like 1950s style with an axe, and that one was really fun. Figuring out a walk cycle with a character wearing like high heels was really, really interesting. Frozen meat obelisk. Okay, and from here on, since we have those really important key poses in, we're gonna do the next ones here. Just turning on onion skin so I can see the previous two. So we're finding the poses that go in between these, and the one in between the contact pose and the passing pose is at a low point in the walk, so her body needs to shift down just a little bit. So we're going to Draw her head in, try to get the same size, but it's going to be a little bit lower than the other ones. Same with her shoulders, all the way down to her hips. Okay, so it's the blue leg forward. So the blue leg has to be at this point now. Although, yeah, okay. A little bit of bend to the leg here, foot's coming forward. And this is right when she'd be lifting her one foot off the ground, so it's going to be kind of in between these two. Kind of hovering closer to this section. Actually, the blue one should be a little bit further forward. This one should be a little further back. A little bit of bend to the leg. There we go. Sure is a shame Marshall stole all the birds for the issue of Graycove coming out. That's just gonna be birds everywhere. Yep. Oh, not if Griff eats them all. Question from Martin. Oh, that's not for me. Okay, stick this neck in. It's gonna be the red arm, or the front arm, sorry, is gonna be in between these two poses, so the elbow's gonna be here. Except everything's a little bit lower, so a little bit lower down there. And this is when it's coming from this top position and going down. And I think I want it to be going down kind of quickly, like she's swinging it back, so it's gonna favor this side just a little bit more. Her hand's gonna be going up a little bit because it's going against the natural air drag while it's going backwards. Fix this up a little bit more. And erase some of these unnecessary lines so I don't get confused later. Fill that back in. And this back arm, kind of about here for the elbow. We won't see the shoulder. And it'll be swooping down this way. Yeah, so it's got this nice little drop to it and then it picks back up. And then in between the passing pose and the next contact pose is when she's going to be at her tallest point. So we're going to draw her head slightly above these two here. We don't want it to be too crazy, because, you know, we don't want it to look like she's absolutely just rocketing up and down. So her shoulders and her hips are also going to be a little bit taller there. She should do a flip. That would be funny. Don't know how I would animate that, but yeah. Man, if only they were doing something cool like riding a shark or shooting guns instead of walking. That'd be a little tricky to draw. Question for Marshall. During the writing phases, what do you do to keep motivated? I'm hitting writer's block right now and need some advice. That's a really good question. That I don't really have a very good answer to, if I'm being honest. We really planned out pretty far in advance what we want to happen, and getting from point A to point B plot-wise can be a little tricky. It really helps that I have Martin to help me because he is the writer between the two of us. Die Hard Graycove crossover? Probably not. so Martin is probably the one you want to talk to for writing advice. I am just the art person. I do the drawings. Okay, so high point. Arm is there, and going back. Okay, so the front arm is these two here. So we need a nice middle ground. Oop. And she's going to be a little bit taller, so it'll be a little bit higher up. Same with the shoulder. For Marshall, if it helps that Graycove is their job, they definitely have moments where whenever we do write, we plan out massive chunks at a time. Yeah, that's true. Okay, and because this arm is going backwards, I think I'm gonna have the hand tilt forward a little bit, like it's dragging against the air in a slightly more natural way. Yeah, and this, I'll keep this nice flick here, so maybe she'll kind of flick her hand out a little bit at the end of the arm sway. Give a little personality to it, you know? And this is in between this front leg here. It's going from being up in the air to the first contact, so it's going to be kind of in this middle zone. And I think she's going to kind of pick her leg up a little bit more. You know, just going for that really high knee walk. Question for Marshall 2, is it good practice art fundamentals whilst drawing stuff you like, i.e. using a style of architecture you like to practice perspective? Yeah, I would say so. You want to keep yourself interested in what you're drawing, you know, so like if you're getting into drawing architecture, of course it's better to choose a style of architecture that you actually find interesting and want to be drawing. And like I guess same goes for people, like I tend to move towards drawing women more than men, which isn't always the best because it's important to draw all different types of body types if you're getting into drawing human anatomy, because everyone's a little bit different. Even when we did like live drawing sessions, every single model that we had come in the class was different than the last person, you know, so it's important to be diverse in your artistic studies. And it's always good to start with like foundational stuff, and if you're drawing characters, stuff like that, even if you want to get into cartoons, it's better to learn how to draw things realistically, because if you know how to draw something in a realistic way, you can really just transform it into any other way that you want, you know? So I had a very traditional art training, I guess you'd say. I learned like realism and painting and all the traditional art before I ever learned digital art, which I think can be really helpful in transferring that knowledge over. Okay, her legs are going to be a little bit taller here because it's the high pose. I know you say the comic is pre-planned, but give Griff a good ending for me. $30? That's very sweet of you. Thank you very much. We're gonna do our best not to torture him more than we need to. I can't tell you the ending that we have in mind for him, but I will say it is sweet. I can draw anything but women. I should have started to learn how to draw women earlier in my art journey. There's always time. Like, go do it right now while we're streaming. Draw along with me. If you need some references for human anatomy, Line of Action is a wonderful website. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember which arm is supposed to go where. Okay, the blue arm should be coming forward now. Art is freaking hard, yo. Yeah, it is. Not the human anatomy chamber. The class was easy, but it sucks to draw. It can be hard to get into, yeah. It is very good for practice. It can be very important. If you're having a hard time getting into it, even just doing like quick 1-minute sketches per pose is really excellent for getting your speed up. Getting an eye for anatomy and figuring out, you know, figure and everything. Yeah, Martin is 100% correct. We hype each other up a lot about Graycove. We get really excited talking about it, and we'll have fun, like, conversations for hours about specific things coming up that I would love to tell you all about, but cannot. Okay, next pose. And one of these I forgot to give her head. This one. Let me do that real quick. Very easy thing to forget. Scooch down onion skins again. Also, we love reading everyone's comments. Yeah, that is 100% correct. I spend way too much time looking through comments. They're very validating. I always appreciate them. Okay, so this one is frame 21, so it's going to be the low point. So we're going to have to shift her head down just a wee bit. Go. Don't want too much. Oop, don't do that. I asked Marshall one time if Griff would die, and she just said smiley face, which either means he'll be okay, don't worry, or haha, yeah, that would be unfortunate, wouldn't it? Yeah, at that point I hadn't decided, and I thought the smiley face would be the best way to annoy you, so it's what I went with. And also I don't really want to tell you guys what's gonna happen too much. You don't want spoilers, do you? How long are you planning on streaming for on Thursdays, Marshall? It kind of depends on my mood, if I'm being honest. Like, if I start getting really tired around like 8 o'clock, then I'll probably stop around 8 o'clock. But last time I went to 9:30 and I was doing pretty good, so I'm gonna aim for the same this time. Okay. So in this one, the back leg is going from the contact to the passing position. So her hip's gonna be about here, a little bit lower. And she's in that mid, lifting her foot up pose. So you kind of want it in between. Lift it up a little bit more. Her foot should end about there, I believe. Are there streams every Thursday? That'd be convenient, it's the only day of time, lol. Yes, we're gonna try to be consistent with Thursdays. It's the best day for my schedule. There's usually nothing planned on Thursdays that I have to attend. Okay, low point. This, that leg. Okay, let's see. Okay, this blue arm is gonna be about here. Starting to go down again, so her hand's gonna be lifted up. Not quite that much, that's a little too exaggerated. More like this, getting a little bit of air drag on the way back down. Is getting married really the best ending he could get? I feel like he'd like being a dad. Yeah, I could see him being a good dad character later on. Not at this point in the story, but maybe later. Okay, let's see. The pink arm is going from being up here to down here. It's gonna be about right here. And not looking too bad so far, just from eyeballing it. We're gonna do our last one. This one is going to be, I believe, a high point. Yep, because we're on frame 30. So she's gonna be a little bit taller in this one, even though she's already very, very tall. This is a good way to do homework. I basically end art lesson and good tunes. Oh, that's good. Hopefully my rambling makes a little bit of sense for anyone wanting to learn how to animate. I don't know if I'm the most articulate art teacher you could find out there, but I am a free one, apparently, so... Okay. And the pink front leg is gonna be right here. Little foot cut forward, and then the back one is... Wait, did I do this right? Yes, I did. Okay. The back one is swinging forward to touch the ground. Going a little bit higher. She's kicking her leg up. Foot should be about here. It needs to roughly line up with this. It's not always perfect. It's not a huge deal when it's the one in the air. We just want to make sure everything's timed out nicely so she's not kicking too fast. So we're going to quickly check to see how everything's looking by filling in these gaps. And then watching it on the loop. Oh. I missed something in the middle here. Onion skins kind of confuse me sometimes, so it helps to turn them off and then take a look again. I think it's just because the blue arm disappears. Because it's the one that's supposed to be behind her. Oh, nope, I just straight up forgot arms in one of these. That would do it. And that's why we check our work. Have you thought about getting more help? Yeah, usually when you get help from people, you have to pay them. We don't have money to be doing that right now, and Graycove is my baby, so I'd find it really hard to give up that kind of power over the comic to another person. At most, I would think about hiring someone who could just do like the flat colors for the pages, so like coloring in Hazel and Griff and all the characters that already have a preset palette. Hello, I love Tales from Graycove so much. I'm so glad I could catch the stream. Yeah, thank you for joining us. We're happy you could be here. Okay, where's the front arm going? The front arm is going up. It's gonna be about right, about right here. It's a higher pose, so her shoulder's gonna be a little higher. And she's just in the middle of swinging her arm up. So where do I want it? I think she would swing from that down pose going real quick up to that higher one. So I think I'm gonna favor the higher one and keep it a little bit closer to this elbow than this one, which is perfect. That's already where it is. And same with this arm. It's going to be a bit closer to this pose than the previous one. And then the back arm, it's just going to be smack dab in the middle. Doesn't need to be special. There we go. This is honestly so chill. I'm sitting here drawing while listening to a drawing stream. Best way to draw. Let's see. Fill in these gaps so we can take a look and see how the walk is looking now that she's not missing some arms. Let's play it back on a loop. Yeah, that's not too shabby, I don't think. It looks like everything's where it's supposed to be. A nice up and down. Pretty jaunty. Jauntier than Griff's walk over here, which is what we were looking for. We want to have the personality in it, you know? I was gonna try to give her a double bounce walk, but we didn't really learn that in school, and we looked at the theory behind it, but I couldn't remember exactly how it worked, so we're not gonna do it today. I might look at editing it a bit later on to give it that bounce, but for now we're just gonna do a regular walk. Okay, now we're gonna do the in-betweens to really smooth this out. Do the gritty. I don't know what that is. Is that a dance? And if so, that would take me forever to animate, so we're not gonna do that. That looks amazing, such a fluid and anatomically accurate walk cycle too. Thank you! Yeah, I quite like drawing them, they're pretty fun. It's nice when you see everything moving properly. It was unacceptable that I wasn't #1, so here's a single coffee at Starbucks. Thank you very much, you're funding my terrible caffeine habit, and I appreciate it. So for this stage, we don't have to look at the charts or anything. We're just getting everything. We're drawing the literal in-betweens of these drawings, so we're just filling in between these red and green lines to smooth it out. Yeah, exactly what Martin's saying. I don't really consider it a furry comic. We weren't making it explicitly to be one. If you want to consider it that, like, go for it. We won't be offended or anything either way. It can be whatever you consider it. And I immediately forgot. Okay. Doing this one. Front arm in between. This is when the arm is kind of falling down. So I think we're actually going to slow into the fall a little bit. So I'm going to favor this top one a little more, like gravity is taking a second to kind of catch up with it. Not all things need definition. Yeah, exactly. Back arm. So smack dab in the middle. Okay, and the blue one is going to be this front one here. Normally when I do walk cycles I start with the front leg forward. I'm not really sure why I decided to do it the other way. But it works anyway, so it doesn't matter. Front one is back here. This part is both easier and more difficult. Easier because I don't have to keep in mind, you know, low point, high point, any of that stuff. But seeing in between the onion skins, those red and green lines can be really tricky. And I find it easier to miss stuff at this stage, like the arms and stuff like that, so I end up having to go back and edit it a bunch, but it should be good. The other annoying thing about the onion skins is that because it changes it to red and green, which if I could change I probably would, I can't tell which one is like the front and back because I color code them, so I end up having to flip between all of these, trying to find them. Okay, so the front arm is this one here. Still going down, so the arm or the hand is gonna kind of cupped like this. Graycove is awesome, but Graycove fluff doesn't sound very awesome. Sounds like corrupting the story's original intention. Yeah, I agree. It's supposed to be more of a mystery. It's not supposed to be more about relationships and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I agree. If we change that, I think it'd be going against the original idea of the story, so probably not gonna happen. Is this right? Yes, okay, pink one is in the air. Sorry, just give me 1 second, I just gotta look at this a bit closer. Yeah, okay, I think this heel needs to move forward a little bit more. Bump it forward like this. This leg is gonna get... One more time. Oops. There we go. I think that's a little bit better there. There we go. Okay, turn this back on. Oh, you can change the colors. Well, that's good. I'll keep that in mind. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want you guys to have to watch me go through a bunch of settings and stuff. But that's very good to know. Thank you. I'm not always the best with Harmony. It is a complicated program. For me, anyways. Thanks to Martin and Marshall for their awesome masterpiece that we all read for free. You are very welcome. Thank you for reading it. Where the series is only worth as much as the people who love it. So thank you very much. There isn't going to be anything like sexual in the comic, is there? Absolutely not. 0%. That is not the point of the comic. I don't want to draw it. It's not going to be there. Yeah, the mature warning that you get at the beginning of the chapter, absolutely not about that. You don't have to worry. Yeah, few for me too. I don't want to draw that. Okay, just missing the back arm now. Which is gonna be this one right here. Can't really see it in this pose. It'll be coming down like that a little bit. I know it's a mystery type story, but I also love how real the interactions are. They don't seem censored or fabricated, they feel like real conversations. Well, that's good, because that's really what we're going for, and that's one reason why we let the characters curse as much as they do, even though some people aren't really big fans of it. They're adult people being put in adult situations, like being kidnapped. And I don't know about you guys, but if I were kidnapped, I would be cursing like a sailor. So they're gonna do the same. Okay. Come on, swinging. I need to change this one a little bit, I think. Yeah. That's why we do the skeleton first. If I were drawing her out fully and having to make adjustments, it would be a huge pain. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Still a little wonky, but that's okay. Okay, well, now we'll finish this one, so it's not just a floating leg. Yeah, Martin is very particular about the word choice, which is really, really helpful for me because I am not always the best at, writing in implications, reading between the lines, things like that. It could be the mildtism. But sometimes when I try to write dialogue, it comes out sounding like a robot. Which is why it's good to have a wonderful writing partner like Martin. Also, I apologize if I missed some of your comments. It's hard to read and animate at the same time, but I'm doing my best. You might just have to say it a couple times for me to spot it from the crowd. Okay, so the front one is gonna be right here. French made me want to die when I tried learning it. Why is a chair female? That was my issue with learning French in school. I hated that items had genders. That's so dumb. Okay, blue arm. Is it going? Okay, blue arm is going up at the stage. Which arm is which? Okay, blue is the one that's going up in the front here. I want it to favor this higher position, so it's really flicking up, you know? Completely forgot to do the rest of the arms and legs. Classic. Okay. Back one is here, and it's swinging back, so it's still going to be kind of dragging a little bit, like so. If the front arm is in the back, then this front leg should be the front. Yes. Okay. And it's just coming down to touch the ground, so I think I want her walk to be a little snappy, like she's really like stomping down on that front step. So I think I'm going to favor this higher position a little bit more. Knee will be there. Okay, the heel should, in theory, be in line with this. This front leg is a little, it's supposed to be in line with this one. It's a little bit off. It doesn't matter as much when they're off the ground, as long as everything is still flowing nicely. So I think... Where'd it go? Which one was I on? This one, yes, okay. So I think I'm just gonna stick it in between these two and have her foot angled upwards, like she's getting ready to stomp down. Yeah, that looks right to me. We'll figure it out once we play it back again. Alright, have to go. Good night, everyone. Okay, bye, Luke. Have a lovely rest of your evening. This one is nice and easy, because it just needs to line up back here. When I was doing Griff's walk cycle, I kept forgetting to draw the body base of the skeleton. I kept jumping ahead to just doing the limbs. And then I had to do a lot of backtracking to fill in the blanks. It looked pretty goofy. Bye, Grapes. Thank you for joining us. Is that a carrot I hear? I don't know. Okay, the front one is the pink one. So we're gonna do this nice and easy. And the back leg is just lifting off, so it's just gonna be in between. Nothing too fancy about it. Doesn't look too shabby. It looks like the comments right now are mostly Martin giving writing advice. So I will leave you guys to that. Because as previously stated, I'm not the writing person. Okay, so the back arm is in front now. this is when it's dropping. So we're gonna favor the top one as if gravity has taken a second to kick in. And the hand is reaching up a little bit because it's just starting to pick up on that flow back down. Yeah, that's good. And this one is starting to swing forward in the back. So it's just gonna be right smack dab in the middle. Good. On to the next one. When I do Russ's walk cycle, it's gonna have to be at twice the speed and half the pace so that he keeps up, but also makes sense for him body proportion wise. So he's not gonna be getting all these in-betweens, so it might look funky. We're gonna have to figure it out as we go. Couldn't imagine working on an animated movie. You're telling me. I had to do a short film for college. I did every single step of it myself except for the voice acting. So I did like the storyboarding, character design, background design, animating, every single piece of it I did. And it was only about 2 minutes long, I believe. And it took me over 6 months to finish it. And that was while working on it every single day. So obviously for a movie it's not just one person working on the entire film by themselves, because that would be crazy and take forever. But yeah, even just working on small pieces, it can take so long to finish it, especially if you're doing it traditionally or tri-digitally like we're doing here. Thankfully rigs and stuff like that can really speed up the process, but aesthetically I've always liked hand-drawn stuff a lot more. Even if it is so much more work. Okay, so for this one, the blue arm is coming down. Okay, so it should be kind of in between these two here. I mean, Lackadaisy took almost 3 years to just get a pilot out. Yeah, exactly. It takes... And I believe that was with a team working on it. I don't know too much about Lackadaisy. I've seen clips of it, and it looks like a beautiful, beautiful show. I keep meaning to watch it, but I just haven't had the time, I guess. Okay, so the front leg is gonna be right here. Animating is monumentally time consuming. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is very time consuming. I mean, look at the time we've spent on this. About an hour now, and I've gotten about this much. And that's just the skeleton. We still have to rough Hazel on top of this, figure out her ears and everything, do a cleanup version, and then do the final line out before adding any color and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a while until this one is done. We probably won't completely finish it tonight, but at least you get to see some of the process. I did animation as a class in middle school, and all I did was accidentally cause my floor to rotate around a character. Fair enough, yeah, that's an easy thing to mistakenly do. From one person making their own animated comic series to another, always love your shorts. I still need to view the rest of the comic up to the current chapter. And is the series just about the town? It's kind of the town and the surrounding area, as you'll see in chapter 5. It is going to be mostly focused around the town, but we do have plans for, in a later story arc, so not the one that we're currently in, we do want them to go traveling like on a trip into some kind of human ruins, something around those lines. We're still thinking it over, obviously. This is going to be quite a ways in the future. But yeah, should be good. Okay, the blue leg in the back is being picked up. So it's gonna be in between these two here is the foot. And the knee is there. So it's gonna be about here. And just smack dab in the middle there. Yay, human archaeology. Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of fun we could have with that. I had an idea for doing another short film that would be infinitely more work than the previous short film I did, because the idea I had was to do parts of it similar to how they did traditional animation back in ye old days, where they would have fully painted backgrounds. So I decided, because I just want to give myself more work apparently, that I would like to do a short film where all the backgrounds are hand painted. I'm thinking like watercolors, because I think that'll be a bit quicker than doing acrylics. And then animating it digitally on top, so similar to what we're doing here where it's all hand drawn, but it is still in a computer system, so it's not fully traditional. If I wanted to do fully traditional, I would have to buy so much equipment and programs that cost so much money. So we're not gonna do that. I have some of the equipment to animate traditionally, like the special animation paper and the little peg that keeps them all in place. But I haven't used any of it since school, really. Okay, and this front one is going to be back here. For your first tattoo, you put years of thought into what you're gonna get. Every other one after has 10 times less thought put into it. That is 100% correct. The first tattoo I got, I was like 18, and I got a quote from a novel that I really loved at the time, and still do, but I haven't read it in quite a while. The second one was a tattoo I had thought and planned about since I was like in grade 6, and every single one after that had less and less thought put into it. My most recent tattoos I got at a tattoo convention, saw them on a poster and went, yeah, give me that. And the last two tattoos I got were one day apart on the same arm, and most people don't need to hear this advice, but don't do that. It was a mistake. It was extremely painful. The second one specifically, not the first one. Wow, that's so wise advice. Yeah. It was not the smartest decision. However, the artist that was there on the second day that I got a tattoo from is an artist that I really, really love, but wasn't from that city, so it was really my only chance, you know? Okay. Where's this back arm? Okay, back arm is... Okay, it's coming down here. Okay, so it's one of these ones. Oop, wrong color. I love your shorts and videos. Thanks, Laura. Always appreciated to hear. Okay, that one's done. So we're gonna do this final one here. And if all goes well, everything should be okay. Everything should be all lined up. Back leg is the one coming forward into that start position. So it needs to be coming down. Right, and I think I decided on the previous one that I want it to favor the higher position so it feels a little more stompy as it comes down. The front pink one is so much easier because it's just on the ground. I wish I could draw like you, but I still believe that I'm good. I'm sure you're a good drawer. It just takes practice. If you don't feel like you're doing as well as you'd like to, then just keep practicing. Every single day. Okay, pink and pink. So the pink arm, also known as the front arm, is coming up. And it'd be favoring this bottom one a little bit more because gravity. And the back one is just swinging back. It's not really important. So it's just going smack dab in the middle. Okay, time to see if I did it properly or if it's horrible and not gonna work and I have to start over. You know what? Not bad. This feels a little stiff right now, but that's gonna change a bit as I add in more details and everything. It's gonna have a little bit more flow to it, especially because you're gonna be able to see her shoulders turning and everything and her hips turning as she walks. Alright, not bad. My favorite short was Hazel teaching Griff's little sister to cuss. It's just awesome. Yeah, I could see her just becoming one of those like family friends eventually who are treated kind of like an aunt to the younger kids. And obviously if she's given that power, she's gonna teach them how to curse. And probably do crimes. Okay, so we're gonna make a new node here, call it Hazel Rough. So we're gonna start putting her in on top of the skeleton. The favorite aunt, exactly. They would absolutely love her. Okay, this is the part that always makes me nervous. And normally, when you start drawing on a new layer, the one below it dims a little bit, but for some reason it's not doing that right now. So I'm just gonna quickly add node library, transparency. There we go. We'll just up it a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. So it's easier to see what I'm doing. Russell teaching Griff's siblings how to pick locks and evade taxes. Oh yeah, he absolutely would do that. Especially the little ones, they're better at sneaking. So for this first pose, the back leg is going to the front, so her hips are going to be facing the viewer. So I'm just going to draw in a skinny little leg here. And the only way we're really going to be able to tell that her hips are shifted more towards us is just from her belly patch. It's going to be kind of twisted like this. Do they have taxes? What system of governance is in place? I don't really know enough about governments to know for sure. It's closer to, yeah, a monarchy. So they would have taxes. I tried drawing a walk once, but for some reason I didn't make it a cycle and I really didn't have an idea of how I wanted it to stop, so it came out as 4 steps to an awkward standing position. You know what? Making a walk come to a stop, if you can do it successfully, that is a hard thing to animate. So, good on ya. What do Graycove citizens use as money? I did make a currency for them. I don't know if that would be a spoiler to tell you what it is. We haven't really shown it, but the idea that I had in mind is that their currency is made up of different types of... Yeah, we haven't really talked about it. I have shown hints on, like, signs and stuff, like in Making Shop. I think I had prices listed on one of the boards. I can't really remember. But yeah, their money is based on washers, like little metal washers, and like nuts and bolts and stuff like that. And it's kind of based on weight. So, you know, the larger a coin would be, the more it's worth. But they would also rely on bartery, or on barter system, whatever. So like eggs and shit, it kind of depends who you talk to in the town. But the king would most likely require just basic money. Yeah, kind of similar, like similar to the bottle caps in Fallout, where it's something you can find all over the house. It's a basic item. Who the king in the kingdom? He'll be revealed later on, don't worry. I believe he should be first shown at the end of the chapter we're currently on, or depending if we break up the chapter or not, because it is getting a little long, then maybe in the beginning of the next chapter, I'm not sure, but he is coming in soon. Yes, we do have a flag up that kind of hints what species the royal family is. Is there a god, or is he fictional in this world too? Depends who you talk to. There are gonna be deities that some of them worship. That's gonna be explored a little bit more later on, but I don't want to talk about it too much because spoilers. But yes, what was I doing? I was drawing. Okay, let me try to do some more of that. Are we skinny legging? We want to try to kind of match them here. We want to keep to sizes as much as we can for this, even if it is just the rough. And actually, this foot is going to be facing the screen a little bit more, kind of twisted towards us, like that. Hazel solos everything in fiction. Not everything. She is tough, but I don't want to make her too overpowered. She is still a deer. Oh, I'm sorry, Laura. That's a sad day. Well, that's good. It's always nice to have good memories you can look back on. Oh, I just realized that because she's twisting like this, I'm gonna have to draw the spots on her back. Okay, that'll be fun. Hazel is very tough. Imagine 7-foot tall person who has 2 built-in brass knuckles on. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Theory channels give their theories on Graycove when. There actually is one already. Oh gosh, I forget the name of the YouTuber who made it. I think it was like Owl Library. And it was a little while ago that it came out. But it was very exciting to see. It was like, oh my god, or for real? Like, we only have a few chapters. Yes, Library Owl AZ. Because her shoulders are twisted, she's kind of facing away from the viewer, or the camera, whatever you want to call it. Okay. I think her ear can just be in a normal position here. One would be on this side. The other would show about right here. It was like 3 months ago. It was only 3 months ago? It feels like it was longer ago than that. Maybe I just don't know time. Okay, her thumb would be on the inside. Yeah, that looks about right. When we're doing it like this, we don't want to just start at the beginning and animate all the way through. We want to do the same thing that we did with the first one, which is doing these major poses first, so the contact and the passing poses. Because we're going to try to get them as close to the right proportions as we can, and that'll make it easier going forward. One should be, there it is. So we're doing this one next. Russell's child lore. That'll be explored a little bit next chapter. So I don't want to say too much beyond that. But it is going to be a topic that comes up in a little bit. I don't know about Marshall, but I don't think we have a big preference on presidents. Yeah, I don't know that much about American politics or past presidents, and I agree that politics probably not my favorite topic for the stream. We're here for art, you know? We're just talking about these goofy animals. I actually want this hand to be flicked forward a little bit more to follow the flow of movement. Just a little bit, not too crazy. It's just that side view, so there's not too much to it. Would be a side profile, so her nose will stick out just slightly more. Her eye should be a little bit further back, just a smidgen. So side view of her nose, and then her ear will be further back. And they're going to be perfectly in line, so we're just going to see the one front ear, I believe. This is just a side profile shot. What character was hardest to draw for you? I guess it was the mammoth. Maybe I'm wrong, it's the matriarch 100%. Yeah, you know, I think it was the mammoth, just because of like the trunk and everything, and there's not that many reference images for woolly mammoths that aren't drawings or really strange like stuffed ones in museums that are only captured at very specific angles. So that one was kind of tricky. The matriarch is also a difficult one to draw, but it's partly because it's so time consuming. Just because she has so much crap on her, you know? Who's your favorite character you've drawn? Probably also the matriarch, even if she's a pain. She was a pretty fun character to come up with. I like doing those shots where you can really like see her gums and teeth and she's snarling. Side pose, she's a little bit, yeah, just perfectly turned to the side. We're not going to draw her necklace yet. That's going to be something we add on later. Same with her tail. That's what I did for Griff's. It's on its own separate thing. Will Hazel be the rage bait queen in the next page? I'm blanking on exactly what happens in the next page that is scheduled to go up tomorrow. Like, obviously I know what's on the page. But you shall see. It'll be up tomorrow at 11:30 PST. Russell feels like the easiest to draw because you can just leave the page blank and say Russell's up to something with the emu. That's pretty funny. Funny enough, he's actually, out of Hazel and Griff, he is the harder one to draw, because I kind of didn't design him with a neck, and his hair fluffs and his big snout can kind of get in the way sometimes, and getting the proportions right can be a little bit of a pain. The biggest problem I have with proportions when it comes to Hazel is just the length of her arms and legs, and I have a habit of drawing her head too big, so I'm always having to go back and shrink it down a little bit. And then Griff is surprisingly straightforward, but sometimes that shoulder fluff that he has, or like the longer hair on his neck, whatever, is a bit of a pain to work around into drawing sometimes, but honestly, he's pretty easy to draw. Okay, where's the next contact? This looks like the one. I like the Badger Lady from Redwall, though it's been so long, can't remember her name. I keep meaning to read Redwall. I've read a little bit of it, but not enough. Okay, so for this one, let me take a look at it before I just jump on in. Okay, so the leg facing us is going to be in the front, so we're seeing her butt, which she doesn't really have. She's kind of just a big rectangle with legs. But her tail will be in the way there, and her shoulders are more open in this one. Will you ever do music for Graycove, like make up some songs or something? I had an idea for just like a cute little piano tune. I can play piano, I can play violin, not to the point of being impressive by any means, and I'm not a composer, obviously, so it's kind of just me playing around with my keyboard. I eventually would like to pick it up again and try to record it, and hopefully it comes out sounding somewhat okay. So yeah, maybe. It's been on the back burner for a while. Okay, but she's twisted up. Just go forward like this. Back leg comes down. Kind of like that. Fan music gonna go crazy for it. Sounds like fun. Yeah, I think it will be fun once I like actually get started on it and giving it a shot. I think it's gonna be a pretty basic, just, you know, cute little tune. I have something similar in mind to one of the theme songs from Fantastic Mr. Fox, the Fox in the Field one. I can play that on piano. And I'd want something with the same energy, but obviously I don't want to copy that one by any means. But just that kind of energy to it, you know? Where's her? Let's bring this up. There we go. Match that a bit more, except her thumb will be on this side. And not that far out. Yeah, that looks better. Do music with Hazel fighting? That would be pretty fun. Good vibes to that song. Yeah, I agree. I like that song a lot. And it's fun to play on piano. Okay. Because her shoulders are facing us, her face is also going to be facing us a little more than the previous poses. It's going to be a little bit shorter on the snout. We're going to be able to see more of her nose. Her eyes are going to be further back, and see this one just peeking out. I like the music in the deer dancing in the snow animation. Yeah, I like that one too. My favorite shore is when Hazel and Griff are on the truth juice, lol. Yeah, I like that one too. That one's pretty fun. Okay, ears. It's probably be about here-ish. And it's gonna be about here. Hazel's ears can also be hard to draw. And same with her necklace, we're not putting her earrings in. Basically no details until we really lock down on the basic shape. If we get too into the details, we're gonna get bogged down. It's just gonna make it harder later, especially if anything is even a little bit off. Favorite song by the Crane Wives gotta be Curses. Yeah, that's a really good one. They have wonderful music. I like their music a lot. I think it's them that did a version, or they have like a live video of them playing Take Me to War, and I really like that one. Okay, so next pass and pose. Right here. Same as the last pass and pose, it's going to be a direct side view, so we're pretty much tracing over the other side view. I don't pay attention too much, I guess, but are swords the main weapons for Graycovians and guards? Now that I think about it, I think they do. Yeah, I think weapons are personal preference, like Martin just said. So like Griff has his axe, some of them would use swords, some of them would prefer to have bows, stuff like that. So I think it depends on the character. And like some like Hazel aren't really proficient in very many weapons, but she is very proficient at throwing hands, so we're just gonna straight up copy paste this one in, except change it so this one is in front. This line's gotta go, this line's gotta go. The little belly comes in right here. There we go. What is everyone's thoughts on the terrible decision to give recorders to children during elementary school? I think I read something about recorders being a part of making kids take like deep breaths and like learning how to make music like using their lungs. And I don't know if that's true or not. It could be absolute, you know, bullshit. But that's just, I remember reading something about that and I was like, oh, okay, well that's a better excuse than that they're cheap instruments. Okay, so with that, we take this first pose and we copy paste that here. I'm back. Hi Laura, thank you for joining us once again. Recorder, I hardly know her. Funny. Yeah, she beat up that zebra. She has built-in brass knuckles. Yeah, don't mess around with the deer hoof. They're tough. Well, she is based off of a white-tailed deer. She's actually a mix because her dad is a red deer and her mom was a fallow deer. Which, like, obviously I don't think those animals are actually compatible scientifically, but since this is fiction and they're close enough, we're pretending otherwise. I don't think she's 7'1". She is very tall, but I think she's in the between 6 and 7 feet tall range. I do have a chart somewhere with her heights on it. I just don't remember where I put it. Okay. Now we're gonna do some in-betweens. Yeah, we're a little loosey-goosey on the genetics. Oh, wait, no. Okay. This is her lower pose. Okay, yeah, so we are going to trace this out to match the previous ones. Then I'm gonna have to lower it down. Who taught Hazel to fight, or is she just naturally a good fighter? Yeah, her dad would have been the one to teach her how to fight. I'm not gonna say much beyond that, we're gonna explore it a little bit more later, but between her two parents, her dad was more of a fighter. Okay, so this is the down pose, or the lower pose. So since she is moving lower, we're gonna have her ear back a little bit, because it would be kind of dragging against, like, wind drag, gravity, whatever you want to call it. So while it's still going to be between these two, it's going to be favoring this side a little bit more. And then we're going to take her whole head and scooch her on down. There we go. Honestly, I'd be interested to see how Hazel's family reacts to Griff in the same context that Hazel met Griff's family. It would definitely be a lot less chaotic, since Hazel only has the one sibling, and Russell definitely isn't gonna be climbing all over Griff, and he's not, you know, a child. So it'd be much calmer. Okay, shoulders gotta be lower. And it looks like you guys are talking about Hollow Knight. The drawing is coming along great, Marshall. Thank you. I think so too. I don't think it's coming along too shabby, if I do say so myself. Russell latched onto Griff's leg like, you're my friend now. That feels like a good way for Russell to die. Okay. Which leg is which? Right, okay. The front one is being picked up off the ground. like Nisha's character. She's a link similar to my lovely Maine Coon. I do love Maine Coon cats. It'd be cool to have one day. They're such pretty animals. Okay, so let's go here. A little bit of bend to this leg, which is why she's a little bit lower. My boss had 3 Maine Coons at one point. That feels like almost too many. Like, maybe I'm not a good judge. I've never had a cat before. That feels like a lot of cats. Especially those huge ones. Just sneaking out here. Yeah, that looks pretty close to this one. For Griff's family, why are all the adults and every male grown up in his family guards? Because it seems like it runs in the family, lol. And also, are the boys expected to become guards when they age? Yeah, it's definitely a family tradition kind of thing, and it's not a gendered thing. It's kind of, they're all expected to at least try to be a guard as they get older. So there is, yeah, family tradition more than force. So like there is a short where you see the 3 oldest, the triplets, all like holding like little toy weapons and stuff, and I think that was like the dad's way of introducing them to being guards. But like their oldest sister isn't living in Graycove right now, so obviously it's not completely forced because she left. And like not all of the future kids are going to be guards either. It really depends on their personal preference as they get older. Okay. I think that looks okay. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, exactly what Martin said. I don't think we're gonna really get into speciesism or anything like that. Because yeah, not really the point of the story either. Okay, so this is gonna be the taller pose. So I'm gonna trace out this one again before bumping it up just to make sure that the proportions are correct. This is as, yeah, she's facing forward. So her ear, smack dab in between these two. The back one is going to be about here. Except this is when she's standing up. So her ears are going to be bent a little more forward, just to show the pull of gravity on them. As a reaction of her moving up, it has to be kind of a delayed reaction to have it move naturally. So So when she's going to stand up, her ears are kind of going down, and vice versa when she's going into that lower down pose, her ears are going to be kind of hanging back a little bit. Also, since they're carnivores, does that mean there are farms with sentient animals? So they eat birds and fish, and those two creatures aren't sentient, so they do have like chicken farms and stuff like that, but it's not some like horrifying thing like they did in BoJack, for example. They have a whole episode on like the chicken farming where they're all like genetically changed to not be a sentient person, and it's just a entirely super messed up episode. If you haven't seen it, it's very interesting. So yeah, birds not sentient, so fair game. Right, okay, I have to move it up. Guys, I got a cool emoji. That is a cool emoji. So did the people of Graycove evolve from some major Chernobyl catastrophe? Not gonna say. It's gonna be shown later on, and I don't want to spoil things. Her head kind of snaps back a little bit too as she stands up taller. I kind of like the world building behind how animals are anthropomorphic except for birds and fish. Yeah. That wasn't a no. Yeah, I'm not gonna confirm or deny. You're just gonna have to wait. Is a little bit taller in this one. That's probably good for now. How does the fall of Constantinople affect the story? Not at all. They don't know what Constantinople is. They're not affected by it. Okay. Let's focus here. And this is the back leg, the front leg is up here. Well, deer are low-key some very mean creatures, sometimes very dumb, but you sure don't want to corner one. Oh yeah, definitely not. Their hooves are both very hard and very sharp. They can really mess you up if you get too close, if you corner them and they freak out enough. Yeah, Martin, stop spoiling things in the comments. I really love snow leopards. I would be amazed to see one in the story or short. Yeah, you got it. If I have a scene where I need some more background characters, I will try to stick one in. I'll try to remember. I like them too. They're very cute. Okay, yeah, this one's going up. Face down. And you get to see the thumb on this one. we're just gonna finish up these 2 more poses, and then I'm gonna run it to see how it's looking so far. This is another lower pose. We're gonna trace over again so I don't mess up the proportions, and then shift everything down. Oh, put in an anteater, love those things. I actually did a rough sketch for an anteater character in one of my sketchbooks. Because I just like that long face that they have, and I thought it would look really cool with like spots going along it. I just haven't put them in yet, I guess. I did that sketch quite a while ago. Could you maybe pop in a Palace's cat if you need any background characters, please? I really love them and they're just so fluffy. I don't know what that is. I don't recognize that. Is that like a type of house cat or is it a type of wild cat? Wildcats? Then probably, yeah. We do have a thing planned for house cats later, specifically, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil stuff. And I kind of like you guys having to theorize things out. It's fun for me. She's a little bit lower here. Okay. Right, okay, so this leg. The back one is lifting, the front one is just sliding. Okay. Perry the Platypus reference one. Yeah, we're trying not to add any references to, you know, shows and things that aren't ours. Just better to be safe than sorry. Although it would be very fun. At the lower position, so the ear is going to flop backwards just a little bit. We don't want it to be too much or else it'll look crazy. Like that. Don't like that. Yeah, okay, If it's an issue, I'll fix it later. This ear's in front of it anyways. I'm probably gonna have to make some adjustments to the ears later, but I'm not gonna be too worried about that right now. If I have to redo them later, that's not a very big deal. It's looking good, Marshall. Thank you. Much appreciated. This is the part that I find more difficult just because I'm having to try and see between these red and green lines and really bugs my eyes out. Okay. I'm just gonna do one more and then we're gonna test it to see how it's looking. Why isn't her head in this one? Oh, that's the wrong pose. Huh. Oops. It's supposed to be the very front one. So that when you do the loop, you know the final pose that you're leading up to, and then when you play it back, like you can kind of see here, the player ends before this one shows up, so that you're not actually seeing it, but I'm seeing it in the drawing, so I can, you know, line everything up. Okay, and this one is a high pose. So I'll trace everything in. The neck especially is important to trace in like this before I bump everything up so I don't actually accidentally just elongate her neck and keep the shoulders down. Because that is a very real problem of something I've done before. Okay. Her ear's gonna be forward a little more on this one since she's going up. This ear in the back should be closer to the middle. Yeah, just like that. Go. Shoulders up here. I should probably bump this arm up just a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. See, front leg should be here. This one is kicking forward. Probably should be a little bit, yeah, it should be higher. That's my bad. Not crazy higher, but a little bit higher than the last pose. Hey, my birthday is in 2 weeks. Nice. Happy early birthday. Oh, actually, this should also be a little bit higher just because it's a taller pose. We'll keep the knee position, but just move. Adjust everything a little bit. Oop. I'll just delete that line. Well, folks, I'm off to bed. It was a nice stream. Y'all have a good night. You have a good night, too. Hope you can join us next time as well. I just realized I haven't been drawing her little belly patch in, but that's okay. I can add that in later. Okay, let us stretch these frames out a little bit, and then we'll take a look and see how it's looking. Okay, not bad. Let me just turn the skeleton off so we can see it a little bit better. One can dream to attain a physique such as Hazel's. It's not the most realistic. She is a deer. She's supposed to be abnormally skinny and tall. I thought I turned that off. There we go. Okay, not too bad. Obviously it's still a little rough and it still needs the in-betweens and everything, but like it's a pretty solid start. The ears definitely need to be fixed, but besides that, I don't think it's too bad. And yeah, I need to put her belly patches in, I missed a couple there. Yeah, no, not bad. Marshall's favorite animal is a possum. I do like possums quite a bit. Are you sure Hazel doesn't have a sweater? Asking in case this can get you out drawing back spots. Unfortunately not. I need to draw her as she normally is for this little project I have in mind, so I'm just gonna have to draw her spots. However, since I'm doing it in this program, if I do them separately, I could decide if I want them to glow or not. I could always turn on and off a glow thing just for fun, you know? So that could be cool. Yeah, one rough finished, one rough halfway finished. Not too shabby. But it is getting a little bit on the late side, so I think I'm gonna call it for the night. Not quite as long as our previous one, and we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but I need to go get myself some dinner, so I'm gonna call it. I hope you all enjoyed the stream, maybe learned a little bit about animation, or if not, just enjoyed hearing me yap for a while. Alright everybody, I hope you all have a lovely evening, morning, or afternoon depending on where you are. Bye!